Why are you still watering your garden every single day? It feels like endless work, chasing dry soil. But for thousands of years, a different way existed. A simple trench that kept plants happy for days, even weeks, without constant fuss. The real mystery isn't how this old method worked. It's why we ever let ourselves forget it in the first place. That's the question we need to answer. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm so glad you're here with us today. That question from the opening is something that's really bugged me for a while. We have all this amazing technology, but watering our own backyard can still feel like a daily, frustrating chore. But ancient farmers had this figured out. Their solution was so simple, it's almost genius. A basic trench, or sometimes just an unglazed clay pot, buried right in the soil. It slowly lets water seep out directly to the roots. The results are amazing. Gardens using this method need 50 to 70% less water and grow healthier plants. So if it's that good, why on earth did we forget about it? Well, the answer is kind of shocking. It was forgotten because it worked too well. A system that lasts for decades and doesn't need replacement parts just isn't great for business. Think about it for a second. A simple clay pot that you bury in the ground once, and it can work for 20, 30, even 40 years. I mean, archaeologists have dug up pots that are thousands of years old, still in one piece, ready to do their job. The design is just so incredibly smart. The pot itself can tell when the soil around it is dry, and it slowly lets out just the right amount of water, right at the roots. When the soil is moist, it stops. This means you can't overwater your plants, and it helps them grow these really deep, strong roots that make them much healthier. But here's the catch. That simple, perfect design is also its biggest weakness in a modern marketplace. A product you buy one time that works for decades without needing any replacement parts or fancy upgrades. It's a terrible business model. It just doesn't keep the money flowing. So when cheap, mass-produced plastic hoses and sprinklers hit the market, they were an easy sell. And this ancient, proven technique got pushed to the side. It was labeled primitive, like it was something from the past we needed to move on from. We were told that newer always means better. But often, these new plastic systems crack in the sun, get clogged, and need to be replaced every few seasons. We swapped something that was built to last for something we have to keep buying over and over again. It's a really powerful shift when you think about it. We didn't abandon this amazing system because something better came along. We were nudged away from it because it didn't fit a world built on constant consumption. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other simple, perfect solutions have we forgotten, just because they were too good to sell? The real secret behind these simple tools isn't some kind of lost magic. It's just a deep, humble understanding of how the earth already works, how it's designed to function. Let's look at the science of it, because it's beautiful in its simplicity. Imagine an unglazed clay pot. It's naturally porous, meaning it's full of microscopic holes. When you bury this pot in your garden and fill it with water, it doesn't just leak out everywhere. Something amazing happens instead. When the soil around the pot is dry, it actually pulls water through those tiny pores, delivering it directly to the roots. The soil is in control. But here's the genius part. As soon as the soil has enough moisture, that pulling force stops. The pot just holds the water, waiting patiently until the soil is thirsty again. It's a perfect, self-regulating system. The pot and the earth are in constant communication, with no need for timers, apps, or electricity. And this changes everything for the plants. When you water from the surface with a hose or sprinkler, the roots have no reason to go deep. They stay shallow, weak, and vulnerable. But when the water source is buried deep in the ground, the roots have to grow downward to find it. They build these incredibly strong, deep networks, making the whole plant healthier and far more resilient to drought. The results are just incredible. Gardens that use this deep hydration method can use 50 to 70% less water. Think about that. And because the pot is underground, protected from the sun and the elements, it can last for 20 years or more. Plus, since the surface of the soil stays dry, you get far fewer weeds, and you dramatically reduce the risk of fungal diseases that love damp conditions. It all comes down to working with God's creation instead of fighting against it. We don't have to force things with complicated machinery. We can just tap into the powerful, natural engine that's already running, right beneath our feet. Alright, so let's get our hands dirty. Let's actually build this thing. The best part is, it's incredibly simple. and you really only have to do it once for it to work for years. First, you'll need the right kind of pots. We're talking about basic, unglazed terracotta pots. The cheap, orange kind you can find anywhere. The keyword there is unglazed. If the pot is shiny, it's been sealed, and it won't let the water seep out. Most of these pots have a little drainage hole in the bottom. You need to plug that. A small, flat rock, a piece of cork, or even a bit of waterproof sealant will work perfectly. You just want the water to go out through the walls of the pot, not straight out the bottom. Now, think about your garden bed. You're basically going to create a hidden watering trench. For a garden box or a row of vegetables, you'll want to space these pots out every 2 to 3 feet. That gives you a nice, even zone of moisture under the soil. Okay, now for the fun part, digging. For each pot, dig a hole that's deep enough so the rim sits just about level with the soil, or maybe sticks out by an inch. You don't want it buried so deep you can't find it. Place your pot in the hole, and just fill the dirt back in around it. Pack it in there nice and snug. What you've just done is install a permanent water source right in the heart of the root zone. Once your pots are in the ground, you can put your plants or seeds in the soil around them, leaving a few inches of space. Then, just fill each pot with water. And here's the last critical step. Cover the opening. Find a flat stone or a small lid that fits right over the top. This is huge. It keeps bugs and debris out, it stops mosquitoes from breeding, and it prevents the sun from just evaporating all that water you put in. And that's it. You're done. There are no timers to set, no apps to check. You just walk out and refill the pots every few days, sometimes only once a week. You've just created a system that works in silent partnership with the earth. It's an act of trust, of stepping back and letting a simple, God-given design do the work. And that's a kind of peace no piece of modern technology can ever give you. So what's the big picture here? These simple, natural gardening methods aren't just a clever trick. They're a powerful way to grow things. They save a ton of water, 50 to 70% less, in fact, and give you much healthier plants. Forget about fungal diseases or endless weeding. And these basic clay pots? They can last for 20 years or even longer. Archaeologists have even found ancient water pots that are thousands of years old and still working. That's a big lesson about building things to last. It shows us that the future of gardening actually looks a lot like the past. Simple, strong, and deeply connected to the earth. When you build a garden that waters itself, you're not being lazy. You're being smart. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why did we ever forget a system so simple, so effective, and so incredibly long-lasting? The surprising truth is, it's probably because it works too well. It doesn't break, it doesn't need replacement parts, and it doesn't need constant upgrades. If this journey into forgotten wisdom and understanding why we sometimes choose complexity over common sense makes you think, then stick around. Hit that subscribe button to keep digging into the hidden truths that change how we see the world. We've only just scratched the surface.